This is Small Talk with 101 ESPN's Michelle Smallman.
What's up, everybody, and welcome into episode 131 of Small Talk. Your host, Steve Ceruti and Michelle Smallman are here with you. Hello to our YouTube audience. Hello to our podcast audience. And Steve and I have maybe one of our favorite podcasts that we've ever done on deck for you today. We are joined by a great guest and our friend, Randy Scott of ESPN. You know him from ESPN. He's a SportsCenter anchor. And we are going to do a draft, but we're going to do a very specific, very niche draft that only Randy Scott could participate in, because not only does he know the people that we're going to talk about, and he has kind of an inside track, but we knew he was going to do his homework on this. So what we're going to do later with Randy in this draft is hangover style, you and three other people. However, those three other people have to be ESPN personalities. You're going away on vacation, 72 hours in an Airbnb. Who do you want in the house?
Very stressful draft. Very stressful draft. And you're right, Randy is the one, Randolph is the one guy who I feel like is the perfect person to do this, because he just gets the vibe of the show. He gets the vibe of what we're going after. And there are so many great people that could potentially be in your three, but it's all about how people get along, what vibes they bring to the house. Where we want, like, no positive vibes only, as we do. Maybe we'll get a pillow in there as well. But it was probably one of the most difficult drafts to actually do. But I think I love where it went. So I'm excited about it.
We're excited about that. So we're going to keep this intro really short so that we can get to Randy here in a second. But one of the things that we haven't done is deliver on a lot of things that we talk about.
The accountability police, let's go.
So John, the intern, is the accountability czar. And before we have the accountability czar tell us that we dropped the ball, we need to get to the Sopranos. So Rudy and I and some of the Shelleys are rewatching the Sopranos, and we're not going to do this look back on history on the Sopranos because it's been out for so long, but we watched the first 3 episodes. I'm rewatching it, Ceruti for the first time. And Steve, just give me a few observations that you have from the first 3 episodes of the Sopranos.
So I didn't know, obviously I didn't know how much acclaim it's gotten, how many people are obsessed with it. It's got like a 9.2 on IMDb. So it's one of the highest rated shows of all time. It's like that, The Wire, Game of Thrones, like it's in that category. And the reason I had never watched it was because I just kind of felt like I missed out on it. It ended, I think it started in 1999. I think it ended in 2007. And I just was never on board. I think my parents may have watched it, but I don't know, it just wasn't for me. So I kind of felt like I missed the boat. And I was a little bit nervous going back and watching it, because I'm like, this show, okay, it's over 20 years old now. And it's definitely, it holds up. I'll say that. It holds up for sure. You could definitely tell it's old, but the writing is quick. The storyline hooks you almost right off the bat. And for me as an Italian kid, and you, I'm sure as well, Michelle, there are so many stupid lines in there that I'm like, oh, my uncle or my grandmother, or whatever. Like, this is so, like, not that we were mobsters, but, and there is a very different distinction between New Jersey Italians and probably the Connecticut Italians.
Sure.
But there were so many relatable things in there for me that I absolutely loved watching the first 3 episodes.
I'm so glad. This is why I've been peer pressuring you to watch it. And my family lives in New Jersey, so this is no disrespect to New Jersey, but I feel like the style and the fashion in New Jersey is still pretty similar to what is being represented in The Sopranos. And so that's why it doesn't feel super dated, because you have the guys wearing the button down shirts and the chains, and, the women with the hair and the jewelry. And while, of course, women there are keep up with fashion, there is a distinct image that you think of when you think of New Jersey fashion, and it still fits with that. So while some of it's outdated, I think a lot of it still really holds up.
It's mostly hairspray, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of teasing. It's great.
Yeah, and even the style, I was like, I remember my dad wearing something like that, or my mom's hair was like that. So it was kind of cool actually to watch it later, because it's very nostalgic. And Jamie Lee Singler's character, who is like the teenage daughter, I forget her name.
Meadow.
Again, like kind of growing up, same vibes. I see like my sisters, and it is like growing up in that Italian household was a lot of fun. And I was a little bit confused in the first episode. You have to really pay attention to the dialogue. That's one of the things about the show.
Entire time.
You can't be on your phone. This was pre-phone viewing too, which is kind of interesting. So now I almost feel like you have to create shows that aren't super dialogue driven, because everyone's kind of like happy. They got one eye on their phone and one eye on the show. Whereas that thing, if you weren't locked in, you miss parts that are very important. So by the end of the first episode, I had to Google exactly why some shit went down, and I was like, oh, that makes sense, okay. And I was definitely more locked in for episodes 2 and 3 going forward. But I kind of like that about it, because there aren't that many shows like that anymore, where you really cannot miss like a couple seconds, or you're going to be lost in a conversation.
Okay, so early review. Who's your favorite character?
I'll tell you who my least favorite character was. And I don't remember his name, but the guy the short-haired nephew guy who ends up robbing he steals all those sport coats, right? Or the suits, basically against the will of the family. I hated every scene that guy was in. He was the worst. He's the worst character in the show, and I'm kind of happy, spoiler alert, that he's dead.
Oh my God, Steve.
Sorry. I mean, I don't know. It's a TV show. What do you want me to say? He was annoying as hell. So I was every scene, but again, they did a good job because he was supposed to be really annoying, and he was really, really annoying. I don't know if I have a favorite character yet. I don't. I mean, obviously I love Tony Soprano. He's great. I mean, I love the grandmother, not because I like her, but because she just reminds me of aunts and family members that I have that are just, you get in your own way kind of thing. You get older. And I thought it was hilarious because, she was giving away her possessions, basically wanting to die at this point. Like that's where she was in her life. And I don't, without like sort of naming it, that hit home for me a little bit with some of my older relatives. And I don't know if it's an Italian thing or what it is, but she was just so incredibly stubborn that I related to that as well. I don't know. I don't think I know enough about the characters yet to really have a favorite one, but I love the vibe of the show. I mean, coming off right off the bat with him basically running over that doctor was awesome. I mean, it was just great. It told you who Tony was. And then, a couple scenes later, he's basically crying to a therapist. So it shows the depths of the levels of the character of a character he is. So don't know if I have a favorite yet, but I definitely I'm hooked 3 episodes in.
Tony Soprano is the perfect anti-hero. He's
was
villain.
He the first too? Like of that, because that became a thing. And was he the first?
I don't know if he was the first, but he was certainly the most notable. But he is a very, very flawed person that becomes endearing in a lot of ways. It's without giving away too much, that I think is what makes the show so incredibly deep, is that he's doing all of these bad things, but then you're seeing how he processes it from a mental and emotional standpoint in real time, which makes him humanized. Like the things he's doing are very detached and dehumanizing, and then you see the human side of him. It's very interesting.
Can I tell you my favorite sort of scene that I kind of laughed at? I think it was in the second or third episode, and I don't know these guys' names yet because they all kind of look the same. They have slick back hair, right? There, the guy who quotes The Godfather all the time is really funny. That's a really funny little thing to put in there. About being sucked in it was great. And I don't even really.
That's Silvio Dante. So
yeah, that was funny. I laughed every time he said that.
He's the consigliere, very important.
I laughed every time he said that. So any scene he's in, it was great. But it was his other friend who was the guy with he had the gray slick back hair.
The wings here.
The wings, yeah. So
Walnuts.
When they went into what I could only really describe as a Starbucks, and he was basically pissed off that all these people stole the Italian culture. It was like they culture vultured pasta and pizza and espresso, and how pissed off he was about that. I loved that scene. I loved it so much because it was so relatable. I mean, you're going, how the hell, we invented all this shit. Why is everybody else making money off of it? That was my favorite scene of the first 3 episodes.
Yeah, incredible. Okay, Steve, anything else on deck before we get to Randy Scott?
No, let's get to it because it's really great.
Ceruti and I are so pumped to welcome in our guest this week. It's our old friend from ESPN. You know him as a SportsCenter anchor, and of course from the Randy Scott Hour back in the Rosillo days. Randy Scott is here with us. Randy, we know that you get up super early, and this is probably during your nap time. So thanks for taking the time to join us today.
There's no one I would rather sacrifice nap time for than you guys. I miss you guys. It's good to see you. You guys haven't aged at all. You guys look the same.
Wow, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you.
I mean, you haven't really aged either.
I was going to say, this is where you say it back, but I appreciate that. Yeah, got it.
Randy, you look as good as you've ever seen
Randy,
you.
amazing.
Oh, thanks. I've been cutting my own hair for a year, so I'm pretty psyched about it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so take us through that. Is it just a Clippers deal?
Yeah.
Have you YouTubed this? Was it just you're going rogue and seeing what happens? Break it down.
Yeah, no, it's 2 on the sides, 4 at the temples to blend it, and just getting the back is tough. And then scissors, got a pair of barber shears, and you gotta measure it up and leave it longer on top. I feel like I've held my own it's been a year. It's been a year.
That's a bold move for somebody on TV, though. If we're being honest. Cutting your own hair, somebody on TV. Now, luckily, you're saying the back isn't a problem because I guess nobody's really seeing the back of your head as long as the front looks okay. But
bingo, you can make this a disaster.
Yeah. Now there are some radio shots back in the day where they would I know Rosillo always used to get pissed off at this because they would shoot the angle and it would be like his bald spot when he had hair, and he'd be like, "Guys, why are you doing this to me?" You probably tell the TV people, "Hey, no shots from behind the head, all just front facing."
Right. Let's focus
Just right here, the money shot.
The money maker, right?
Yeah.
Randy,
I want to ask.
hold on, can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
Randy, how has the hair and makeup room responded to the fact that you're doing your own hair? Because you give them a good palette. Oh, they're not there. So are you doing your own makeup too?
A year, yeah. So I mean, that's why I'm looking at myself now because I've still got it on from work. We got off the set a couple hours ago, and like, it's pretty orange. I mean, they set us up. They do. They set us up with like our own labeled bags and stuff. And you just have to kind of make do. And like I work with Nicole Briscoe most mornings, and she came in and she saw my powder puff, like it's like a circle, it's like a Mac circle.
Your powder puff, yes.
Powder puff was like a women's football game back in the day, wasn't it? Like,
yeah,
it was.
Some
yeah,
people take that seriously.
I participated in one.
Okay. So this was powder.
I stood on the
powder,
sidelines.
whatever, and it's not supposed to be. The point is, it's not supposed to be as dirty as mine was. But I hadn't changed it. Like I didn't know that you were supposed to. These were disposable. I thought they were like evergreen, and this thing looked like something you would fish out of a lake, and then set out to dry. And I was just sitting there like, bop, bop, bop. Like I don't know why I'm breaking out. This is ridiculous. And Nicole was like, "You idiot! You're supposed to ask for a new one." And I didn't know, so I've had to learn some stuff the hard way.
I appreciate your work.
I want to ask you about, because you talked about nap time, and what time do you wake up?
1:25.
That's insane. So what time do you go to sleep?
I'm usually asleep by like 9:30.
So you get a solid math here on podcasting, not great. 4.5 hours of sleep if you're doing well. I used to do, so when I used to work on Mike and Mike, I used to do kind of the same thing because I like watching games. I like to be in the know, right? I would wake up, I think, at 3-ish, and I'd get in by 4:30. Show is at 6. Obviously, I didn't have the on-air component necessarily, but I would double up. So I would sleep like for 4 hours, 3-4 hours at night, and then 3-4 hours during the day, which someone once told me was actually what like you're supposed to do. Like your REM cycles are actually about 4 hours each. But I never felt like, I always felt like I was in a constant haze throughout the entire day. Like, what is your sleep deal like?
No, I aspire for what you just outlined. I mean, I aspire for like 2 big chunks, and it's pretty much sleep when you can. It's almost like what they tell you when you have a baby is like sleep when they sleep and sleep when you can and whatever else. And, but I think the only way I've been on this morning show since 2016. So, I've probably taken like dog years off my life by doing this for sure. But the only way I've been able to survive for 5 years doing it is by doing what you just said. Like if I was trying to John Gruden this thing, or who was that Saints coach back in the day who was like proudly, I sleep on my couch 3 hours and that Jim Haslett. Like if I was trying to do that, like I would be in a ditch somewhere by now. Cause it's not just that, it's commuting then from like Boston Metro West suburbs at that hour, which, it has its positives because you can catch up on the games that were happening while you were asleep. Listen to, shameless plug, but like SportsCenter all night, or listen to Jim Reynolds and get caught up. But also listen to podcasts. I mean, that's how I catch up with you guys. That's how I catch up with Ryan and whoever else. Is I can sort of sound like I know what I'm talking about by the time I get in. It's my show prep kind of.
Yeah, that is one really weird thing about our industry is that we know so many people with podcasts or with different media vehicles that's how we kind of keep up with each other, is consuming each other's content.
Yeah, seriously. No, it's true. So, now I get to see you guys. Like when you said Smalls that you were like, all right, this is actually on a Zoom. I was like, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Randy, we're on YouTube now. Small Talk is officially on YouTube. So Rudy got us hooked up.
Okay.
So say what's up to our YouTube audience.
All right. Millions of views, no big deal. Do you remember like your first time in radio? Do you remember the first time that any of us worked together? Whether it was Michelle, me, Rosillo, like what was your first impression of us? Because I don't know, like, were you intimidated? Like, what was the deal coming in as like a big time SportsCenter guy being like, I'm going to fill in on radio today?
Absolutely intimidated. And I remember it. I don't remember the exact first day. But I remember comparing. So it's a weird thing to be a fan of people and then meet them, because you have this expectation and you have this image of them in your mind. And the thing is, like, because of my community, because of when you guys were on, it wasn't like meeting, it wasn't like meeting let's say even like Mike and Mike necessarily, because they weren't on my drive in and they weren't on my drive home. So for you guys, you were on my drive home. So I'd catch you guys all the time. And to be able to put faces with voices, to be able to put personalities with what came through on the air, like that was probably the most disarming part, was like, oh, they're who they are on the air is who they are. Like there was no like, who's the guy from Wayne's World, Mr. Handsome or Mr. Pretty or whatever the guy's name was, where I can't remember his name, but it's like they cut over to him and he's like, yeah, oh, that's great. Yeah. Oh, look out, they're getting closer. Like radio voice guy. Like you weren't that. You were all who you were. And Ryan is not radio voice guy. He just has a radio voice. Like that's his day to day. So I was intimidated by Ryan. I was impressed by Small's ability to like rein that in and sort of like be like, yeah, Ryan, I get it. Like you want those printed out. You want that printer to work right here. You don't understand why it doesn't work, but we still have this show, and you prepped your what's the cussing policy? Sorry, before
we're totally live. Go ahead.
Yep.
Right, like you prepped your ass off for the show. So how about we do the show and then we'll figure the printer out after the fact, and let's not let it submarine. You know, let's be goldfish. You know, what's the best part about a goldfish? Goldfish has the 10-second memory, and then that's it. And Ceruti, you had longer hair, dude. Like you had Thrones, you had Game of Thrones, Jon Snow hair.
I was way cooler back then. Yeah.
Yeah, when I first met you, and you were the dry, like, you know, I remember being worried about jokes, and not for Ryan necessarily, because I think Ryan was more like bemused by me, like not amused, but sort of like, what's this guy gonna do? And then like I'm literally struggling to stay awake in the last hour of the show because I've been up for 12 hours at that point and going off 3.5 hours of sleep. And he was like, all right, so we're gonna get loose in this last hour. Like that last block where he's like, hey, who can Connor Cook versus Brock Osweiler in a fight? Who wins? And I was like, well, I have a theory on this. And then we'd like, be off the rails. But I was worried about trying to get jokes off in front of you because you were so dry and so like nothing seemed to phase you. So I was like, well, I'm nervous as hell sitting in this chair here. And on the days where Ryan would host, it was the easiest job in the building. And I'm not trying to take away from Danny, because the show was just had different expectations when Danny was there versus a fill-in like me, or even a fill-in like Adnan. There were probably different expectations, right? So when I was there, Ryan prepped his ass off. I knew enough based on what I did for our show in the morning to be able to keep up with some of the points. And you just let Ryan drive and get in where he encouraged you to get in. So,
well, I'll say this.
It was so fun.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, Michelle, but this is kind of how I felt, especially when fill-ins would fill in on various shows. Obviously, we liked working with the main host, but it was like a substitute teacher thing, and it was so much fun because the shows were real loose. I mean, the topic selection was not as stringent. I mean, I remember there was one time where I think Adnan was filling in on the herd one time, and like the main producer was there, and I was like the second in chair at the time. And it was maybe like a holiday or something, not like a significant holiday, but a random holiday. And we just started like randomly talking and quoting Arrested Development on the show for like most of the first segment. And that was the show. And the producer was like, hey guys, like maybe chill it with the Arrested Development references. Like we're actually still doing a sports talk show here. But when there's a fill-in, it was like everything was on the table. Like you could do stupid topics for whatever. And I actually kind of enjoyed some of those shows the most because you guys were so much fun to work with. And the pressure wasn't necessarily there to put together this great show, but they ended up being really, really fun shows. Maybe just fun for us, but they were really fun shows to work on.
Did anyone, Ceruti, in that segment say, I blew myself, like Tobias?
Yes. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know if
definitely.
we could say that. Disney property. Didn't know if you could do that.
I love all my children. I don't really care for Job. But yes, there were many quotes that were covered during that. And
here's my card. What is this? What is this title? It's an analrapist. I'm an analyst and a therapist all at once.
Illusions, Dad. They're illusions.
They're always money.
They're not tricks. They're illusions.
I think Adnan said there's always money in the banana stand at least 5 times in the first segment. Easily in the first segment. But yeah, so this is, now it's happening again here, but it's fun because I always really enjoyed those shows because they were just totally different than what we would do on a day-to-day basis.
It was so for someone like me who in the morning this SportsCenter pattern was like keep it moving, fast, really no opinion. And that's changed a little bit, but there were no takes on SportsCenter. And then it's like, hey, tell me about, or story time. Oh my God, story time. So like,
story time.
You guys would foster that, and you'd be like, hey, you went to a wedding this weekend. what happened? And I was like, well, I insulted Tom Brady to his sister.
Mm-hmm.
I did that. And it's like, well, we're going to tell that story on the air. And I was like, all right. And you get out there and you do it. And like, it was a very welcoming atmosphere. It wasn't like a, hey, this is how the show is. And just because Ryan isn't here or just because Danny isn't here, like, doesn't mean we're not going to bop, 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 bop. It was like, what are you comfortable doing? Because you have to be out there for 3 hours. So there's a way to dovetail it where you can be comfortable. The show can stay on the rails. And, you you and three, Ryan included, were why that was the case. I mean, you drove that.
Can I give you a Randy Scott hour topic that I want to talk about?
Please.
Oh, God.
Okay. So I saw this. I knew, Randy, obviously, that you were coming on the show today. And I see this tweet from Baker Mayfield. So 13 hours ago, he says, almost 100% M and I, his wife, saw a UFO drop straight out of the sky on our way home from dinner. We stopped and looked at each other, asked if either of us saw it, a very bright ball of light going straight down out of the sky towards Lake Travis. Anybody else witnessed this? Mm-hmm. So I see this and I think, okay, if there was any current athlete that was going to meet the aliens as a UFO drops out of the sky, what athlete do you want to be the liaison between humans on Earth and the aliens?
Oh, okay. Who do you want to be?
That's a great question.
Thank you. I thought this was the perfect Randy Scott hour question. It has somewhat of a sports tie.
God, that is such an on the spot. It's so broad. You want someone who's not going to scare them or intimidate them. So I feel like that takes a lot of the NFL off, right? Like,
definitely.
If we send our biggest and baddest there,
like Aaron Donald is not going.
Or Calais
Campbell. Yeah, or do you want to just intimidate them? Like, you want to make sure that, hey, we're the alpha here. Like, come on. I mean, I guess they did just fly to our planet, so they're probably much more sophisticated than we are technology-wise. But I think you'd want to put out some. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, maybe Aaron Donald starts going, hey, maybe we want to fuck with these guys.
That's a good idea. If Aaron Donald shows up and they're like, there's an entire population of people that look like this, because the aliens probably all look alike, right? The aliens are just cookie cutter when they show up.
Right.
You're not going to show me. I'm not going to show up. They're going to make this guy. Like, no muscle. Come on. Body mass. What are we doing? 5'10", please.
Especially if they land in America, we do not want them to know about obesity problems. Aaron Donald might be the play.
That's a very good point. All right. Aaron Donald out of the gate is a really good choice. I'm starting to second guess my football players.
What I was thinking is a hockey guy with no teeth, where you just throw them out there, because hockey guys are a different breed. They will throw down. They do not care anytime, any place. So I was thinking maybe an NHL player might be good. How
many good American, like, all due respect to your nutso goalie there in St. Louis, but like
Jordan
you want some 5'6", $165 Bennington running around fighting to fight everybody. But think about, like, give me a good American, like, enforcer. Like, do we bring John Scott out of retirement?
Maybe.
It's Dano Chara, right? Isn't he?
Not American, though.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, good call.
But you know what? It doesn't even have to necessarily be American, because we are all one on Earth here. The aliens are coming from outer space. So we could
We're one team, one planet.
Come on, we're all uniting.
I feel like Zion, maybe, like that's the combination of
Zion's a good one.
You also have to have athleticism.
You also have to have some, the gift of gab too, though, right? Don't you have to? There has to be some, what would it be, like intergalactic policy going on? Like, you couldn't just go in there guns blazing, talking smack, right? There'd have to be some give and take. Like, I'm trying to think, like, I wouldn't want a Russell Wilson who's going to be completely fake and tell you how awesome everything is, but I also want someone who's going to, present like a good front for the States and not think everyone here is an asshole.
Hold on, DK Metcalf. Hold on, piercings, huge, fast, like verbose, like personality, like I don't know, maybe DK. And I'm only saying that because you said Wilson. Wilson's a little small. I think I would want someone a little taller.
You need somebody over 6 feet. I would say that as someone who's under 6 feet. I think you need somebody over 6 feet.
Okay, so like marinate on this one. What about Tom Brady? He clearly is going to be able to chat with them, chat it up, and they're going to look at him and say, wow, this guy's 43 and he looks great. Like, maybe we don't want to mess with them. Maybe all of these people on Earth are unassuming, but then they're going to surprise us.
You're playing on my biases, and I know what you're doing, and you're trying to rattle me ahead of this draft. So it's not going to happen.
Strategy here, clearly.
Yeah, Brady is. They're gonna. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they're gonna see through him. They're gonna be like false modesty, dad bod, no lycopene, very easily drunk, like just the lightest lightweight, right? So, but at the same team though. Rob Gronkowski, like,
is it
like
Gronk?
A Greek god, tall dude. I think for Gronk, I feel like he's deceptive. Like, I feel like he's an inverted iceberg. Like, you only see, like, there's so much more big, massive, like, size that he's got, but he's actually, like, there's more beneath the surface. So maybe
what is Gronk going to say to an alien? I can't see that going well.
What's up, bro?
Yeah. Like he's gonna like chug a beer, blast it over his face, and then just I don't know. It's just gonna be. I don't know if that's like the. I guess if you want the aliens to think that we're all just kind of like dumb, I guess, then you can be like, yeah, throw Gronk out there. But the only problem with Brady, I think, too, is he's gonna start trying to sell his TB12 method to these guys. Like, I don't think that's what you want either. Like, oh great, we got like a telemarketer basically right in my face selling me products.
Anybody NBA? Is it like no? Giannis is Greek. Dang it.
Yep.
Is it
Steph? Well, Steph is
shorter.
Still over 6 feet though. That's true. You're thinking someone who's like 6'7".
Is it LeBron?
It might be LeBron. That's big.
LeBron will get them some wine.
Oh my God, yes. LeBron will open up the wine cellar. Everyone will sit down. We'll have a meeting of the minds over some very expensive Pinot Noir.
Offer a role in Space Jam, make it a little bit more.
Yes. I like where your head's at.
Monstars. Like LeBron could be it. Okay, size, diplomacy, edge. There's enough of an edge. He's tatted up like crazy, right?
Yeah.
All right.
It might be LeBron. All right.
Might be LeBron.
All right. Settled.
Pop quiz.
If there's a better choice, let us know. But I think LeBron seems like a pretty good choice.
Prepared for the draft, not for that. Okay.
Yeah, I had to throw something out at you in the Randy Scott hour.
That. I have one more question for you, Randy. And I don't know how this happened, but you seem to be the guy at ESPN that gets the most shit from other people at ESPN, whether it was like Lebron show or whoever. I feel like it's like cool now to just like bash, to just like shit on Randy in like a playful way, but you're kind of that guy. Why do people think they could just take shots at you? I don't understand.
It's because I missed my opportunity to like shank somebody on the first day. You know what I mean? Like
nice.
That prison calf mentality. And do they call it calf in prison? Probably not. But like the prison cafeteria vibe,
I think they call it the mess hall, or something.
That's the Marines. But no, it's fine. It's totally fine. Who was it? Told me like as long as you're a good teammate, there's always a place for you. I think somebody said that. So it's like, and I grew up with a mom that was like, don't take yourself too seriously. Nobody likes that guy, So if you can laugh at yourself, and you're in a business of people who like to, get their takes off and their jokes off, like sometimes you're a safe harbor for that sort of thing. And it's also a good way to make friends with people. I feel like you're never going to be lacking for, friends either in person or on social media if you can poke fun at yourself and, not take things too seriously and overreact.
I think it's a really hard thing for people to do. You're right. And I've always like admired the fact that you embrace that, but are also able to give it back to people. Cause you're right. Not everybody can take jokes like that. And cause I know like the Lebron show guys would get at you a little bit. I'd be like, come on, like, what are we doing here? And then we had t-shirts made, and then you never know what their deal is. Cause they're all about like the bigger picture conglomerate thing and whatever. But I was just always impressed by you. Cause you never seem to let that get to you in an industry that there's so many egos going on that you almost have no ego. And it's amazing. Like it's maybe the biggest compliment I could pay you. You're a great broadcaster, but I'm almost more impressed by that.
I appreciate that. I mean, with Lebron especially though, I knew that was coming from a good place. Like sometimes there are overly familiar people, like people you do one or two shows with when they're just like, Randolph Snot or whatever the joke is, like, and you're like, we don't know, you don't know my middle name. Like, we're not going to do, what's my birthday real quick? Like, you're not going to, like sometimes people abuse it, but for Lebron especially, it was coming from a really good spot. And I remember when they brought my mom into it, because they put my mom on one of those t-shirts. Yep. It's like, I hate Randy Scott's mom, but only for producing Randy Scott or something like that. Like, it was like helpful because I was kind of new. I was really new on that 7 a.m. show. And back then it was 5 people. Remember? It was like Serena Morales and Jamie Sire and Kevin Gandhi and Jay Harris and then this guy, who nobody knows who he is. And for Lebron on his weekly segment to sort of pick me out, it gave me like a little bit of real estate in this, free for all sort of a show where I was very much like the last guy in the door, So I think it was, and I've since sort of figured out it was coming from a good spot with those guys.
Okay, this is setting up perfectly to get the draft rolling. Let's get this going. So here's what we're going to do again. You and 3 people who work at ESPN currently, that's the only parameter for this, is they have to currently work at ESPN, are hangover style going out on vacation. We don't even know the location. It could be anywhere. And you have to share an Airbnb with them. Okay. So prior to this, Randy, Ceruti, and I did a little rock, paper, scissors action. We determined the draft order. So here's how this is going to go. It's going to go Ceruti with the number 1 overall pick. Then it goes to me. then to Randy, who we learned is not great at rock, paper, scissors. but he actually, I think, benefits the most because snake draft, Randy gets picks 3 and 4, and then back around the horn.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't feel great about the first pick. I don't know. Like, you guys seem to think there's an obvious, or you have an obvious first pick. I don't. Yes. I have 3 people that I really like, and I hope I get them. I don't think I will, but I don't know if there's an obvious first pick for me.
We're gonna find out. I think this is champagne problem stuff. Like you're like, oh, first pick. Like, I don't know. I
have 3 guys I really like.
Yeah.
Everybody's equal. Come on. Because I don't even know if the person I'm gonna pick first would make your list. I mean, I think he should because I love him, but I don't. And I'm teasing it by giving out the sex there. But I think this is, for me, if I'm going away, this is what I would want in a person. So you want me to just take it away with the first pick?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm going to take Twellman. Like, I'm sorry. I'm taking Taylor Twellman because what am I going to be doing on a weekend trip away at an Airbnb? I want to watch soccer in the morning. Who's better to watch soccer with? Sunday morning EPL action, Serie A, Bundesliga on ESPN Plus. Who is better to do that with than Twellman? I also know Twellman's a very funny guy. He knows how to have a good time. There's no drama with Twellman. He gets along with pretty much everyone. Everyone at ESPN likes him. Yep. And I think, there's again, we talk about Randy, no ego. He's like number 2 in the no ego department. So those are the kind of people that you need to be around. I don't think Twellman has a flaw in a weekend Airbnb deal. So he's my first pick.
I think he would fit well if there's a bunk bed scenario. Like, you don't have to worry about the betting situation being an issue for him. Okay. Very low maintenance in that regard. The only downside to Twellman is if there's a golf component to this guy's weekend, and I don't even know, you and I have never talked about golf because A, I'm not good at it, and B, it never came up. But he is he's the freakiest athlete I've probably ever been around, just great at everything. And he's like a scratch golfer. So I would be intimidated going out to play golf with him. And I'm convinced that's why the invitation has never been extended to me, even though he lives like 20 minutes away. But like, I would be that would be a source of stress for me, is trying to go out and play golf with Twellman.
I wouldn't be intimidated by it. I do golf. I don't do it super well. I always say with golf, I was on the golf team in high school. I peaked at golf in high school, and then I kind of stopped playing since then. But if I was golfing with Twellman, I wouldn't be, I don't know. I know he's better than me. I don't really care. So that's totally fine. I wouldn't want to make the weekend about golfing. That's the one problem. I don't want to go golfing like 4 times over the course of a long weekend. Okay. Once is fine. So I guess, like, as long as Twellman's cool with 1 round of golf, that doesn't bother me at all.
All right.
No surprise at all that a St. Louis person goes number 1 overall in the draft. Just saying.
You snaked your pick.
It always comes back. You know what? I was kind of afraid you might take him too, so that's why I had him at 1 as well, Michelle.
Yeah, he was on my list. I'm not going to lie. He was on my list. Twellman, great pick by you. But I'm so thrilled that my number 1 overall pick is still on the board. Phew, I was very worried, Ceruti, that you might take this person.
I think I think I know where you're going with this.
Randy, it might be on your list too. But so actually, I think self-awareness is the most important quality that you can have. And I know me personally, I am not great at a lot of things. I am a killer vacation roommate. Killer. I'm very good. And I texted my friends on the group text and I asked them, what is my vibe as a vacation roommate? And here are the 4 things that I got back. Number 1, most things don't bother you. So if you're in the Airbnb, I don't care if you're messy, keep it to your spot. You want it to be really cold? Cool. I'll throw on a hoodie. I'm on vacation. Whatever you're going to do that's annoying isn't going to bother me. It's not going to bring me down. Number 2, there's always music. I am the curator of the playlist. Unless we're sleeping, tunes are going. Okay. So you have to like music. Number 3, I very, very much like a bedtime cocktail. So if we go out, we're coming back, we're getting ready to go, a little bed wine, maybe we have a margarita on the nightstand. Who knows? We could stay up and laugh. And I would say number 4, I don't bring this out often, but I can and will make Bourdain's eggs in the morning. Okay. So these are 4 things that you need to keep in mind as I curate my house. Like, I want people to match this vibe. I want everybody to be fun, to be light, to just be down and have a good time, which is why I'm going with this person as my number 1 overall pick. Ceruti, you want to jump in here?
I thought you were going to pick yourself the way you just described what was happening here. So I don't know. I thought I know where you're going, but now I don't know.
No, because the way that you curate a house is very, 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 very important, because some people are on different vibes. Like Randy, I could see you being potentially a touristy guy. You want to go to the history museum. You want to go see the sights. I don't know. Me, maybe.
History guy.
Ceruti, definitely a history guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or you mentioned golf. I don't want to golf on my vacation. It's very important that you get people who are on the same wavelength in the house. Yeah. Okay.
Fact.
So when I think about the things I just mentioned, I want cocktails, I want dancing, I want to eat, And I want someone that I can throw in the house and who, regardless of who the other two people are, I know that this person can gel with everyone. And that's why with the number 2 overall pick, I'm going with Elle Duncan.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I knew she was going to be high on your list. She's on my list as well. Elle was awesome. And speaking of like fill-ins, I mean, Randy, you filled in with her a few times, I believe. Like those are great shows when it's Elle and Randy. I mean, shit gets off the rails when it's Elle and Randy in the best way possible.
Best way.
Elle is one of the best human beings I've ever met. Totally understand. I know Michelle is in love with Elle too, so I knew that was going to be a high pick. She's
funny. She's cool. But everything I just mentioned that is going to be important for me in the house. Can't you see Elle adapting to all of that?
Yeah.
Great.
Agreed. All right. My pick. That's a wonderful pick. I have not a bad word to say at all about Elle. Actually, I do. Here's the thing. Because how are you on singing? Because with the constant tunes, if you are inclined at all, pre or post bed wine, didn't know that was a thing, or margarita, bedgarita? We'll workshop. Like if you are prone to singing, she will out-sing you. Like
no, I have a terrible voice, Randy.
She can legit sing. So that's what I'm saying. Like if you are at all interested in being like, who's it's and what's it's galore, she'll be like, no, this is how you actually sing that. Like,
Randy, do you think we're like pumping Little Mermaid tunes on vacation? I mean, we're going Migos. We're not going Ariel here.
Oh, you don't think Elle knows Migos?
No, she does. That's what I'm saying. Like, do you think that when we're getting ready to go out to the bars, I'm like, oh, let's cue up the Little Mermaid soundtrack right now?
It was the first thing top of mind. All right, that's all I'm saying.
But here's what you do: you just don't bring a karaoke machine. Everything's fine. We're done.
She's a human karaoke machine. That's my point.
She's gonna start singing in the morning. Just like tunes are on, 10 a.m. Eggs are being made, and she's just singing Migos.
That's fine.
I kind of like that she's putting that vibe out there. I like that.
Me too. I love that.
It's a great vibe. It is.
I love that about her.
All right. My first pick. Now I'm starting to realize I went about this in a far more analytical way.
That's okay.
Like I haven't met some of my picks. Like in
Me either.
Like my first pick, it's about what he could bring tangibly and otherwise to our vibe. And you talk about self-awareness, and I feel like he has leaned into his own self-awareness over the last handful of years. He has someone in his life that I think would be a part. So I'm almost getting a 2-for-1.
Oh, I know who it is.
In terms of like who he could bring, because they're so close and they're so connected. And even if he doesn't bring her, he himself would bring an energy and in a legit sort of like, it would boost the level of what this weekend could be. It would raise the ceiling of this weekend. Not saying we would meet it, but the option is there. So my first pick is Alex Rodriguez.
I knew it.
Because maybe J-Lo is there.
Fair.
Maybe J-Lo classes up the joint. Maybe, actually not even maybe, A-Rod or not, or J-Lo or not, A-Rod's getting us into wherever we want to go. Totally. Whatever club, whatever anything. That's right. Is he probably paying for it? Probably. Like maybe. Maybe we're flying private wherever we're going.
Yeah.
Maybe our geographical footprint for our trip, like what is this, like a Nashville guys trip? That's great, guys. Airstrips over there. We're going to Vegas for the night, and we're just going to come back privately. So like, I think all things are, I went for someone who could facilitate, like I'm building a roster. Okay. So my later picks are going to be like, oh, that makes sense. Like this is, but I need someone to make it all possible, to raise the ceiling, as we said. So assuming it's not in baseball season, it's Alex Rodriguez.
I don't even know what to make of that, Michelle. It wasn't even on my list. Didn't even cross my mind. I maybe one of the few people, I have no interest in hanging out with A-Rod. And I didn't know, I kind of know what Michelle's list is going to look like. I had no idea what Randy's list was going to look like. And with that first pick, I feel better about getting the rest of the people that I want. You're right about like having someone who could just take it from, at any point, the trip could be a 10, right? Based on whatever their connections are and whatever they could do. I understand that. That makes sense. Yeah. That's not really me, but I get why you would want that in the crew. A-Rod just doesn't, I don't know. I don't know him at all. Maybe he's like an awesome dude. Maybe.
Yeah. He could be a great
I don't know. I always think of the picture of him kissing himself in the mirror, and that's who I think of him as a person. So I don't know if I want that guy on my trip. He might be a little bit too like the ego. Speaking of egos, he might have too big of an ego.
It's very fair. We went from Migos to egos. I get it. Like it's
also, Randy, if J-Lo is not part of the equation at all, I mean, she is not there. She's not FaceTiming. You cannot text her. A-Rod's not going to tell you about the skincare routine. None of it. Are you still interested?
I am still interested because of what Alex would bring himself. You know what I mean? Like what he could bring to our group, what he could teach us about business. I don't know how money, I don't know how
having a lot of money.
I don't know how money works. I don't know how investments operate. So
and you can tell your
I feel
buddies
like
that you hung out with Alex, right? That's like I had a weekend with Alex Rodriguez. That's a cool story.
There's that as well. So now I'm up again with
Yes.
the first pick of the second round.
Mhm.
Correct.
Second of 3 rounds.
Ceruti, are you writing all these down, by the way, so we can judge this at the end?
Yeah.
I've got it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. 6 picks remaining. So to start with the first pick of the second round, I am gonna go. So I thought about. Can we say who we thought about, or do you want to wait until everybody's picked?
Wait until they picked.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
Because
all
what if I take that person?
I know. I want a wild card. I want a Charlie Day wild card. I want someone to look at me when I'm snuggling in with my bed wine and say, "No, we're going to Waffle House. We're going to Waffle House. We're getting smothered and covered right now." I'm like, it's 2 a.m. It's Waffle House knows no clock. It operates by no standard there. So I think I'm gonna go Marty Smith. I'm gonna go Marty Smith. First pick, second round.
Wow.
He is
Damn it.
a
Great pick.
Carolina Ted Lasso. Like, he is just relentlessly positive, eternally positive, optimistic. He could probably peel some layers back on A-Rod. Maybe like we get to know that onion a little bit thanks to Marty, but also wild card. Like, yeah, boys, Vegas is great, but y'all ever been to Macau? You know what I mean? Like something like that. Like that would be my pick. That would be my pick.
And then wherever he takes you, you have the best time.
Never met a stranger, right?
He knows everybody there. They're going to hook you up. Absolutely.
There's
Gosh,
2
that's
words,
such a good pick.
smiles. Yeah.
He was on my list.
Okay,
Damn it.
I didn't have him on my list, and that's a gross omission on my part. I don't even know what I was thinking there. That's a great pick.
Great pick. And you know what? I would argue Marty Smith also worthy of a first round pick. That's a steal. That's a steal in the second round.
I like him better than A-Rod. I'd rather have him on my trip than A-Rod. Yeah.
It's good value right there. Yeah.
And I will say this too about Marty Smith. If A-Rod gets a little too controlling and says, well, I got the private jet, so we're going to go to dinner where I want, I feel like he's amenable. Marty's just along for the ride. He's going to have a good time no matter what. So, A-Rod will take it up a level, but Marty will bring you back down to earth in the best way.
Yeah, you can be grounded up on the penthouse suite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what he would do. That's what he would do for us.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So now I see what Randy's doing. Now the strategies are starting to unfold, and I'm so pleased with my first pick because Elle and I are going to have a great time regardless of who else is in the house. But now this, I think, is actually the more critical pick, the second pick, because the last person will just round everything out. Usually your last pick is just going to be kind of the cherry on top, but this third person in the house could really make or break it. This could be catastrophic. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 names here.
I'm nervous right now.
I'm so nervous. I know. Okay. So, gosh, it's down between 2 people. Okay, you know what? My strategy going into this was just, we're going to have the best time. I see what you're saying about A-Rod and the star power, and I have someone on my list that definitely brings that. But I'm going likability, and even though I've only met this person once, I've never met someone that does not like him. So give me Scott Van Pelt's. SVP's coming in the house.
Okay.
A bit of a surprising pick. Randy, you probably know, I know Scott a little, Scott. Scott's kind of like a homebody, he kind of doesn't really.
Okay, we're at the house.
And I know, yeah, you're okay with that, because I don't know if you're looking to like have a wild weekend. It's going to be chill if Scott's there. And, he's might be on his phone a little bit. He's definitely going to be watching Maryland at some point during that weekend. Scott, that's an interesting pick. I don't know. I'd be interested to see what you think, Randy.
He's going to be in his mentions.
Yep, for sure. Probably arguing with someone.
Okay.
He's very comfortable in who he is. So, there's going to be no inkling from him to be like, oh, you guys want to go out to dinner? If there's any part of him that's like, I'm not really feeling that, he's going to tell you. Like, he's going to be like, no, I'm going to stay in. I'm going to order Uber Eats. We're going to get some chicken tenders. And that's what I'm going to do. There will be golf involved. He will be generous. He will be hilarious. His stories will be insane.
That's what I'm looking for.
But bedtimes, we're racking out about 10:30. Right. And so you could be down a man for late night shenanigans. But he might have armed you with what you need to know to get you through that night. He may just not be there to see it through with you to the end. But if he's the linchpin of your roster, like your weekend has taken a decidedly like chill turn, which you're into. You just mentioned wearing a hoodie. So like,
So I can't wait until we can reveal who else was on our list, because it was between him and someone else neck to neck, or neck and neck, I should say. But the way that I operate on vacation is not everybody has to do the same thing. If I want to go shopping and you don't, great. If SVP wants to tap out early, that's awesome. But I want, when everyone is in the house together, to get along. And I feel like everybody that I know that has ever hung out with Scott Van Pelt is like, he's the best guy. And so I just want everybody to be cool and chill and fun.
He's a glue guy for sure. He's first team all glue guy.
Definitely a glue guy. And I think, of all the people we picked so far, the only person I would say might ruffle some feathers in the house is A-Rod. I think everybody else would probably get along.
Yeah.
And I'm with you, Michelle. The vibe to me is about what people bring specifically. And I'm going to be selfish here, what they bring for my enjoyment, like what I want to do in a weekend. But also, you're right, not like getting in arguments with anyone. And I don't think, listen, there's a lot of good people at ESPN. It's not like people are just like, we talked about the ego thing, but we're picking mostly great people. But I think that is really important. And I was a little bit nervous that you were going to take this person, Michelle. And so now I have back-to-back picks, right? So there's a lot of pressure on me here.
Yeah. So you're rounding out your house now.
Oh, okay. I know I definitely want one, and I'm going to pick them right now. And I was nervous Michelle was going to take them. I was even a little bit nervous Randy was going to take them. I'm going with Diana Rossini.
Good
and
pick.
let me tell you why.
Good
Diana is maybe the most fun person that works at ESPN, period. She walks into a room and it's a party atmosphere overnight. It's awesome. Everyone's in a good mood. And she's also that New Jersey Italian. There's going to be good food in the house for sure. I don't know whether her mother's making stuff. There's going to be some gabagool. There's going to be some cold cuts. There's probably going to be, a chicken parm sandwich in there somewhere. So we're eating good for sure. And when I think of like a trip away, Randy, I know you're going for like the big wig, like we're going to Vegas or Nashville. I'm almost thinking like lake house, beach house, like we're a little bit secluded. We're not really hitting the club necessarily, but if we were 30-minute drive away, Rossini's going to know where that is and we're going to find it. It's going to be awesome. So for me, like Twelman's a little bit more chill, the golf vibe, soccer in the morning, but Rossini brings sort of the party vibe that you need. Like she's going to be waking people up at 10 a.m. doing shots. And that's the kind of person you kind of need at this party. And she's going to be up late night and she gets along with literally everyone. So to me, Rossini is an absolute steal with the second pick here.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think she's kind of got a little bit of that same, like never met a stranger thing. So the second you step outside the house, the lake village, wherever you, hold up, I think you're going to have friends, you know what I mean? Like you're just gonna have friends you haven't met yet. And that's what Rossini will bring to you guys for sure.
Yes, Rossini was on my list. Good pick by you, Steve. I love Diana Rossini, and she's definitely going to have some sort of a baked ziti or some sort of casserole that is in the car that you're going to heat up later. However, what you said about SVP for me could also apply to Rossini. While SVP may be in his mentions or on his phone, if she's got breaking news and a coach calls her and she needs to tweet something out, she's going to have to step away. She's on top of it at all times. And as we know, the NFL news cycle never quits. So even though Rossini does bring that party vibe, you risk potentially losing her during crucial hours to break a story.
But she's also I feel like she's a multitasker in that way. Like she'll be tweeting out breaking news while, playing Flip Cup. Like this is what I think is going to happen. And that's why like she's, 100% work and play all the time. Like there's no divide. It just is what it is. It's always happening. So I'm not really worried about that at all. I think it'll be totally fine. Honestly, it'd be awesome if she broke a free agent story or some massive trade while we're on vacation. We get some insider information. Come on.
I'm with that. Now you got to round your squad out. You're the first one to cap your roster.
I have 6 people written down, one spot for 6 people. And there's 2 I think that there's really 3 that I really like, and I have to narrow it down to 1. I'm going to go with Damian Woody.
Damn it. That was my next pick. Damn it. Yes. You just totally ruined my house.
Yes. Okay.
I wanted Damian so bad.
Good times all the time. One of the funniest people you'll meet. One of the chillest people you'll meet. One of the nicest people. No one doesn't like Damian Woody. And the thing about Damian too is, I don't know, maybe back in the day, who knows when he was playing, but he's kind of chill now. I don't think of him as like necessarily a partier, but he's going to have a good time for sure. And what I also like about Damian is big music guy, big movie guy, big TV show guy. He's such a well-rounded guy that I would want to just watch stuff with and talk about with and hang out with and talk about football with. And he would easily get along with Twelman and Rossini. I feel like he's kind of a glue guy in a lot of ways where everyone is going to love to just sit down next to Damian and just talk shop about life and whatever. And if the Lakers are on, he's probably gonna be watching Lakers. I'm a late night NBA guy, Michelle. So he's a huge NBA fan. All of these things are perfect Ceruti things. So he's the linchpin to my house is Damian Woody.
Yep.
Incredible pick by you. I'm so upset because when I picked SVP, I was actually teetering between he and Damian Woody, but I thought you might steal SVP. So I totally calculated it incorrectly. But my scouting report on Damian Woody said there's no chance he's a bad hang.
Nope.
None. Zero chance. Zero. And he has enough of an edge to dial into if you're in a tough spot. You know what I mean? If you need to get out of a potentially bad situation, like you're not getting messed with.
That's right.
Woody and your crew.
I'm gonna go ahead and stand behind him. Yeah.
Man, you totally ruined everything for me.
I love
Steve.
I think I got all 3 people that I really like ranked 1, 2, 3 in order. I can't believe it.
This is so upsetting because I came into this draft saying I am going to reclaim my dignity for this draft because I've been absolutely crucified for the Britney Spears draft. And I was like, okay, here are my guys. I totally messed up with the Damian Woody pick. Damn it. Okay. And now I'm questioning everything. So
a lot of good picks on the board. A lot of good picks on the board.
A lot of good picks on the board, but you have to think about overall, as you mentioned, there was a general vibe, but every person in your house brings one thing or another. And okay, wow, this is stressful. But I still have L, so I don't know, regardless of what happens, that L's bringing everything up. I think, oh man. Okay, I have 2 that I'm teetering between. One, this is one of those things too where
she's so scared to make the pick.
Well, you know what it's gonna be? It's gonna be, I'm gonna say it, and then you guys are gonna go, you should have gone with the other person. You totally should have gone with the other person. Okay, you know what? I'm going to steal a page out of Randy Scott's book, and I'm going with the person on my list that had the most star power and that can get us in anywhere, and I'm going with Peyton Manning.
Oh my God, I forgot about Peyton
Manning. Didn't even have him on my list. Yeah, he's
so
funny too. Yeah,
he works for ESPN Plus. Peyton's places. Guess what places are Peyton's places on vacation? Any place we choose. Just like the A-Rod effect. If I can't get us reservations to a certain place for dinner, hey, Peyton Manning's in the squad. We're getting in. Yeah. I feel like he is very funny. He's self-deprecating. He seems like a guy that would have a couple whiskeys and he's going to tell you some incredible stories. I bet if I'm throwing on tunes in the morning, Peyton's there. Peyton's having a mimosa. We're going to throw down. Maybe we're getting ready to go on a boat. Peyton's there. So even though I wanted Damian Woody, I feel like Peyton Manning is not a bad consolation prize.
All right. So you guys, God, I didn't even think about Peyton. I forgot that he's in the ESPN family.
That's right. I knew that would be a steal. I knew that would be a steal for me.
So your roster is L, SVP, and Peyton Manning.
Correct. And I like my squad.
I see a lot of Peyton and L sort of playfully chirping, right? Georgia, Tennessee.
Sure.
With SVP, like refereeing, but also like sort of gaslighting both of them. You know, like getting them both a little riled up and just being tickled with his own efforts. So I like that squad.
I again didn't even cross my mind. Peyton, funny guy. You're right. Great stories. Yeah. You know, I would imagine he gets along with everyone, right? I don't know anyone that doesn't like Peyton Manning. So I don't even know what to say. It was so off my radar, Randy. I don't even know what to say. Like, I'm just speechless here. It's kind of crazy. I still think I would have taken Damian over him though, but because I know Damian's a good time, but Peyton's a good pick.
But Peyton though seems to sneaky be down to clown. Like you pick Damian because you know there's no way he's not a bad hang and he's also down to clown. I bet Peyton, if we did the Derek Jeter thing, phone in the basket, this weekend is off the record. None of this is making my Instagram feed. He's down for a good time.
Does he even have I'm sure is he even on social media that you don't even have to worry about that?
I'm saying if he knows that we're not going to post anything.
The
stories are not getting out. Whatever happens late night with the tunes on and the late night cocktails, everything's going to be a good time.
Man, that is such a good call.
It is.
And I totally redeemed myself.
I'm interested to know who the other we'll talk about it after, but I'm interested to know who you were debating between. Because again, Randy, you have the last pick here. There are still plenty of. I mean, I had 5 other people that I would have been happy to get.
So I can say this now. On my list, Twellman, SVP, Woody, and I didn't think to put Peyton Manning on there, but if I thought about the ESPN Plus family, he would have been on there for sure. So you guys have snaked 3 people off of my personal ranking. So my squad is Alex Rodriguez for star power to raise the ceiling of everything. From what I've heard from the Sunday Night Baseball crew, like he's a good travel buddy when they were on the road two seasons ago.
Most guys with private jets are.
Well, Marty Smith for the wild card factor. So do I need a glue guy here? Do I need more star power? Or do I need someone who is going to be a vault, who's going to be trustworthy, who's a good scout? I feel like someone who's has a good eye for potential, both in like activities and restaurants and bars and, people like, we're going skydiving. I don't like the look of this guy. I don't like how he packs it back. I don't know.
Right.
So
right.
I think I'm going to lock in Louis Riddick to the house.
Okay.
And we're going to throw Louis Riddick at this mix and just be a band of studs rolling through Lake of the Ozarks, rolling through wherever Vegas. I don't know.
Lake of the Ozarks or Vegas. Do you really think? Okay,
he's
so
versatile, I guess. Yeah.
But this is where you messed up with your first pick because A-Rod's not going to the Lake of the Ozarks.
Well,
so if this is a weekend away and it happens to be at the Lake of the Ozarks, A-Rod is not going to be pleased he's there unless it's top tier accommodations. Yeah. A-Rod's not going to be pumped.
Well, maybe the house is on like Anna Maria Island in Florida, and to get to the airstrip to go wherever, because remember, private access, everything. Like, I feel like I've got a high ceiling. I've got a great glue guy I'm Marty Smith, dual threat, glue guy, wild card.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Louis Riddick to be like, fellas, I hear like take all the ideas and sort of be like the final judge. Be like, we're going here, we're doing this, we're doing that. Here's why, and just tying the room together. Now,
to your point, I think he's very decisive.
Yeah.
He's like a well-dressed, well put together dude. He's like, you walk in any place with him and Riddick is going to stand out.
Yeah.
But he's intimidating as fuck. I don't know. Am I going to be able to hang with him? Is he cool? Can I tell what's the, I've spent some time around him, booking him on shows, and he's funny. He's cool. He's an interesting guy, but I've always been intimidated by Louis Riddick. He's just an intimidating dude. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to relax with Riddick around. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. I think he has great stories. I think.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think. Yeah, you're right. It's a little bit of a risk on my part because he and I aren't close. I'm not close with anybody on this.
You're close to A-Rod? Yeah.
I didn't pick people I was close with either. I didn't put Golick Jr. on the list or Jen Latta. I didn't pick a lot of people that I know because I was trying to just curate a general house. But here's also, I think, a potential roadblock for you, Randy. A-Rod, very opinionated. Okay. He's going to want to do what he wants to do. Louis Riddick, not going to be afraid to shoot him down. So there could be some tension there. There could be some tension because both of them are going to stand their ground, and rightfully so.
Two alphas, and then Marty and I to referee it. And I feel like we're going to all be better together by the end of the 72 hours. That's how I feel. Now, can I get to a couple guys that I left off?
Yes, of course. I want to know who the honorable mentioned are.
You mentioned Dojo. You mentioned Junior.
Yep.
And the idea of putting your cell phone in a basket and just sort of being like, hey, let's be present. Let's be where our feet are this weekend. I don't know if he can do it.
No, I totally agree.
10 toes down
on social media. And yeah, my God, get a couple of, to quote guys you guys have worked with, get a couple sarsaparillas in him. You don't know. That itchy send thumb comes flying out.
That's a good point. He was on my list, though. For sure, he's on my list.
Yeah, I've hung with him. He's a great hang, and I've hung with him many times that you've never seen on social media. So I'm just saying he can, in fact, do the theater.
Secret life of Gojo.
No, I'm just saying when he's out, he is present. He's having a good time.
What about Tim Tebow? Thought about it. Took a hard look at it. I've gotten to know him over some Saturday mornings. I feel like he's an underrated hang. I feel like he gets a bad rap as like a goody two shoes. Not that we're out there to cause trouble, but like you don't want to feel judged. And I don't think Tim would judge. I feel like Tim would be a good hang. And then the last one was Dave Pollock. And I thought about David Pollock a lot, but he is the lick the donuts so that nobody eats them guy. I train for vacation. Like I carve it out so that I can carve it out when I get on vacation. And I don't want someone to food police me out there. You know what I mean?
That is such a good call.
To be the Lee Trevino of my dietary decisions if I'm Happy Gilmore at the buffet. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So I thought about those guys, and I think they'd be great hangs, but I'd have to get in shape to do that.
I'm with you. I lose 3 pounds for a vacation so that I can gain 5.
Bang.
Yeah, you're just playing for the tie at that point. Really.
Of course. Like I don't need anyone to monitor the donut situation. I love to play for the tie. Now, Tebow on your list is interesting. No. I've never met Tim Tebow, but I do think that if some interesting activity were to go down, I would not want him to judge me. I would not. You said he wouldn't, and maybe he would not. He seems like a lovely person, but he does also seem like someone that doesn't ever really make a mistake, and the mistakes will be made on this trip.
That's very true. This is going to be a mistake-filled adventure,
right.
with the goal being to make mistakes, I think, know, to learn about ourselves through adversity. He is someone who makes mistakes, and he is he's committed to learning from them, I feel like. So I feel like I could actually learn from like the hangover that I would induce upon myself.
Okay. Well, I look forward to your Tebow film session after the trip. I'm sure that'll be great. Okay, so here's who else was on my list. You guys might be surprised by this. I'm just going to throw two at you. What about Wright Thompson? Because I almost picked him over SVP because I'm the person that, we mentioned bed wine. I love a late night cocktail. Yeah. I like when we go out to stay up till the sun comes up and bullshit. Like that is my jam on vacation. And this is the guy that literally wrote the book on elite cocktailing. And I look at him. He's going to have the fedora. He's from the South. Guys from the South can always throw down. And he was my honorable mention. He was next guy in. I was literally going between Peyton Manning and Wright Thompson. And now that I'm thinking about it, no disrespect to SVP, but imagine a house with L. Duncan, Peyton, and Wright Thompson. That's a good house.
I think SVP would tell you should have picked Wright Thompson. I think you should. And I love SVP, but I didn't have him on my list, but 100% the right call should have had him on the list. He's almost like a different version, but similar to Marty Smith.
That's right.
They're both just like they know everybody. Maybe he can get you a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle on the trip 100%. As well.
Oh, he's bringing it.
Yeah.
He's decaf Marty Smith. Marty's up here, high speed, million RPMs. Wright is the same intensity, integrity, storytelling, all of it, but at a lower, perhaps more chilled vacation vibe.
Right. And we just were talking about not being judged. I feel like if things got a little weird or a little fuzzy the night before, and I was like, wait, I don't remember what happened at the bar. He's going to be like, it's all good. It's all good. I feel like he's going to make you feel great the next day. And I also think after a trip, when everyone's reliving the stories, who better to recount the trip and relive the stories with than the best storyteller at ESPN, Wright Thompson.
He is vibes. He's
a good vibe. It's a good vibe. You know what? Damn it.
You screwed up.
I see, and this is why I was so stressed because I knew he was a good pick. But Peyton Manning, not a bad pick either.
You have him being the narrator though, where it's like, right, I don't know how I got so sick. He'd be like, well, it was the fight for the soul of your stomach. I make it sound like Ogeron. I don't mean to.
Yeah.
It was a good combination of the two, but I liked it. Yeah, I liked it.
And then my other person, surprisingly, on the list. So I like to dance a lot on vacation. In addition to the music, there's a lot of dancing going on. If we're on a boat, I'm dancing. If we're at a club or a bar, I'm dancing. If I'm curling my hair, getting ready to go out, guess what? Busting a move. And surprisingly, I went through a list of ESPN people, and the person that I think might be willing to dance with me the most is Stephen A. Smith. That guy busts a move. Remember he danced with the Jabberwockies?
Yeah. Not afraid to embarrass himself.
No, I just feel like, imagine if we're at a club and a great song comes on. I imagine the crowd partying like Moses in the Red Sea and Stephen A. Smith and I getting down. Yes. We're having a good time. We're tagging people in. The whole crowd's into it. This is what I'm imagining on my vacation.
Okay, important thing, and this isn't a knock on any of these people, but I feel like A-Rod, Stephen A., not necessarily Peyton, Tebow would be in this category. They're kind of like center of attention guys. Now I don't know Tebow super well, but they're gonna suck a lot of the energy. Like not in necessarily a negative way, but they're gonna get a lot of the eyeballs and the energy from everyone else in the room.
Yeah.
Whereas I'd rather spread that out amongst everyone and have everyone sort of feel like they're on equal footing. So that's what I'd be nervous about with Stephen A. is that he would just be this. I mean, he would be himself, which is great. He's one of the hardest working people, maybe the hardest working person in media, but he's Stephen A. on and on. It's always on, right? And there are some times when I want to just chill and hang out and not have it be this like whole thing. I'd be a little bit worried about that with A-Rod, Stephen A., and Tebow.
Well, I didn't think about that in terms of being like the sun in this orbit, right?
Yeah, like the center of the cell. They're just that, everything kind of revolves around them.
But I think Stephen A. of that group, like who's gonna Well, no, I know. I've seen A-Rod dance. Man, that's a good call. I mean, it's a network of, I mean, you know this, there's a stratosphere within ESPN. You know what I mean? There's a hierarchy of star power. And I went for the moon. I shot for the moon.
You did. Yep.
First round pick with the bullet. Let's go.
All right, Ceruti, who else was on your list?
Okay. I had Junior like the rest of you guys. And then I had 3 other people that we haven't mentioned. Booger.
Oh,
Booger's a great time.
Yeah.
I don't know Booger as well as I know Damien, so I kind of went with Damien, but I kind of feel like similar vibes, but you're going to have a good time. Great stories. Awesome dude. Kendrick Perkins, another guy I have on this list. I actually know Kendrick a little bit from having worked with him in the past. He's very in your face, but he's one of the nicest people you ever meet and is going to take care of you no matter what happens. You know, he's if you're one of his guys, like he's got you. And just the stories alone, he's not afraid to talk shit to anyone, but in like a funny way. I think it would be maybe for longer than a weekend, it might be a little bit of trouble. For 3-4 days, you'll be all right. You'll be all right there.
Sure.
And then the last one, totally different vibe. Field Yates. If I want to hang out in Nantucket and just have that kind of lifestyle, like the bougie AF lifestyle, you know, chilling on the beach, probably my own cottage. He's going to know all the good spots, pastel colors.
But what if you're at the Lake of the Ozarks? This is what we did not determine location. So you and these 3 people could be in the middle of nowhere.
No, you're right.
The Field's a fun guy, though.
It's a little bit location specific, but that's okay. If we're doing this in Nantucket, I would pick Field. And again, who doesn't like Field? Field's one of the most likable people there is. He does a million different things. Everyone loves him. But if it's in Nantucket, I mean, he has to be in the 3. But it's TBD, so I couldn't pick him in my 3.
I think Field. I think Field could do like a Rocky Mountains, like a steamboat thing. I think he could do.
He's adaptable.
Yeah, I think it's more than just Nantucket with Field. I worry about, from a smallman roster standpoint, a little bit about SVP with regard to like you take him out of the Florida Keys, you take him out of like the Delaware beaches. Like, are we dude ranching it in Wyoming? Like, I don't know.
I could see him having a good time there. I mean, I don't know him personally, but
he would be a good time and have a good time for sure. But would his patience with, you know, the aromatic sensibilities of like a farm or farm adjacent, you know, if we're B&B in this thing or like a winery, there are some distinct smells there. Like, would SVP be okay with that? I don't know. I don't know.
Very smell specific. Yep.
I wonder though, so you guys are giving me scouting reports on SVP that I didn't have because I've only met him once when he filled in on our show with Chris Long and Ryan, but I'm looking for someone that knows it's only 72 hours. And so like I said at the beginning, I am going to let things slide. I don't really care. Maybe SVP comes into this saying, this is only a couple days. I'm just going to not check the mentions. I don't really care about what smells are going on. I'm just going to bullshit and have a good time.
I'm with that. And I feel like I'm only trying because I know I took some risks with my roster. I'm only
You risked.
Yes. Yours is the house that I most want to see on Real World.
Me too.
I don't know if I want to live there, but I definitely want to see it on Real World.
I want to watch it play out so badly.
No, I'm trying to take
you know what the best part about your house is where do you fit in all of this? Like
true. Because you're almost like the outlier. Yeah.
Because the part of the reason that Steve and I wanted to have you do this draft is because, like we mentioned, we would have fought over you. You definitely are a first round pick for this, Randy. But because I just picture you and Marty Smith on one side and A-Rod and Louis Riddick on the other, and things could either be a 10 or they could be like a -2. You never really know.
We have the highest ceiling. We might have the lowest floor. I don't know.
But you picked Johnny Manziel in the first round. That's what you did. That's it.
I think we would have a good time, and I would feel like my level of like enjoyment out of this would be just the curiosity factor of getting these personalities together. You know what I mean? I feel like I built a good roster, but it could be like that Eagles team that Vince Young was on. You remember that?
What were they? The Dream Team, right?
Asamoah and that whole crew. Yeah, it could be like that. Maybe it wouldn't work. I think it would work though. I believe in my guys.
Okay, can I throw one more thing out there before we let Randy go? So we made sure it had to be current ESPN people, because if it was people that we would have worked with when we were there, this would have been a completely different list. I don't know if there's anybody that you guys would have thrown on there, but when I was talking to Steve about this, I was like, a person that I would pick to be in the house that people might not expect, but that is the best teammate ever, is Danny Cannell. Danny is awesome to travel with. When we used to go on road shows, he is the most unassuming and best teammate you could get. He loves the tunes. He loves to have a good time. When we were at the Super Bowl in Houston, any big party that Danny was invited to, he would wait at the door to make sure that Steve and I got in. He's left parties to come out to make sure we're taken care of. He is just a blast. And so if I could add anyone outside who doesn't work at ESPN anymore into my house, Danny Cannell's coming in.
That's a hell of a pick. That's a hell of a pick. Ceruti, you back that up, or would you go elsewhere?
Oh no, Danny is one of the nicest people I've ever met, and he single-handedly got us into the Chainsmokers concert. I think that night at the Super Bowl, Michelle, right? So
he got us drinks. He got us in. He walked us to the table. He's dancing, and then here's the best thing about Danny too is we're in there, and he turns to me and he's like, "I could totally have been a DJ. This doesn't even look fun at all." But then Danny will come back to the house. He'll want to pretend to be a DJ. Like he's gonna say something outrageous, but then it's gonna turn into a really funny story.
Yeah, Danny's not a guy I worry about weekend trip with a bunch of people. He's gonna find his own. People are gonna like him. One person that I had that doesn't work there anymore, but we used to work with, is Max Bretos. That guy is a walking party, period. Yeah. And it's gonna be weird, but it's gonna be good. It's gonna be fun. And I love Max. And it's the soccer angle in there as well. We get him and Twellman, like that the three of us in the morning, whoever wants to come down as well. Bretos is a really, really fun dude. And I think we did something similar with Russillo. I forget if it was I don't know if it was like drafting people to party with or whatever. I think I took Max first at the time.
Wow.
He's that much of a good time.
That is 1,000% the case. And that is someone who is going to always, no matter where you go, he's going to know someone or know someone who does know someone. Like he has so many connections to like, not even like, all right, we can get a table here. We can get a bottle here, whatever it is. It's like, no, this is the best way to get up onto the roof to watch the sunset or to watch the stars or, you know what I mean? Maybe have like a sneaky, meaningful conversation where you're like, 10 years later, you're like, well, I remember Max that night on the roof. And he said, life's a blah, blah, blah. You know, and like he could sneaky drop in some like wisdom on
He'll get you to a place that you didn't even know existed. Like it'll be some weird cabana, like, I don't know, or some sort of offshoot club that like isn't even listed anywhere, but he knows about it. And like, let's not forget the guy was a male model in Italy for like some of his teen years. So he's got some interesting stories. There's a lot of things that Bretos brings to a table, but he's now working for LAFC. So
his story time with Bretos, just all the lives he's lived. He's like a human cat. Like he's different like iterations of like soccer commentator, SportsCenter anchor, now working for LAFC, male model, like you said, like at a time where has modeling ever been a chill vocation? Probably not.
Nope.
Probably always sort of been on tilt a little bit. I'm trying to think of someone who's not there. I can approach it from like a fan standpoint and be like, I'd love to know a little bit about what makes Ryan tick, and how much that you're going to get in 72 hours. I don't know. Maybe not much. A lot of that you spent in the gym, I'm sure.
So the thing about Ryan,
I hope you like to work out.
Well, the thing about Ryan too is Ryan, and love Ryan, but Ryan's the kind of guy he'd pay for it. Everything would be good to go. And then 2 days before he'd be like, hey, actually I can't make it.
I'm assuming you're right.
And then he wouldn't show up.
No, you know what it would be? It would literally be everybody goes out to dinner. We order appetizers. We're like, did Russillo go to the bathroom? They're like, no, the Rockets game's on. So he went home, but he picked up the check.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
Yep.
Generous Irish goodbye. Yeah.
He's just going to do his own thing. And, if we're talking about team vibe, he might be the best fit, quote unquote, but good dude, obviously.
He's a fun hang. He's a fun hang if you get him out, but you just have to make sure that it's not during NBA season and that the guy gets a workout during the day. That's one thing we learned on the road is Ryan needs to work out.
Yeah.
He's better for it.
I'd love an off the rails weekend with the Lebitard crew.
Totally. I thought about that. I
got along really well with them, and I feel like that'd be really fun. I feel like there's a similar level of generosity with Dan, especially, and then maybe not with Stugotz, but with Dan.
I'd want to see what Stugotz was like, not as Stugotz. If you know what I mean. If he's different. Hang out with John Wiener for a weekend.
I mean, that time in April, and there's been a round of parting ways since then. Like there are so many people where you're just like, it would just be cool to hang out with him again, because I don't know, I remember it. So Adnan and I did the show the day after Danny left. I'm almost Or do I have that right? No, hold on.
I think you did because I think Adnan did the show solo.
Yeah, the
when
day
Danny
of
was gone.
The day of it was Adnan.
Yeah,
solo.
but I think you did.
And then I did the next one because it was in the middle of the week.
Yeah, because Ryan was on vacation.
And then Ryan picked it up on Monday, maybe?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So I did that show, and I did maybe a show after something else. It was probably with Adnan. It was probably after. It was after yeah, never mind. I remember. But I would want to like revisit or have a relationship with someone at work that Ryan had with Danny, where he came on and he was like, you know, I'm just bummed I'm not gonna see my friend. Like my friend's gonna move. This guy, he's my buddy. He's my friend. And I joked with Danny on the shows I got to do with him where I was like, one of the biggest regrets I had was like, because guys don't, and Rusilla will touch on this sometimes, like guys don't like try to make friends with other guys. After a certain age, you're just sort of like,
it's over.
Yeah, like I've got my
Really?
group.
Yep.
I've got my college group. I've got my this. Like if you're gonna be friends with somebody, it's through your kids. Maybe it's like, well, hey, you're at the same baseball practice as I am, and maybe you get a pandemic beer in the garage in the driveway, socially distant. You know, maybe I'm speaking from experience, but like, like I remember Russillo saying that about Danny, being like, he's my friend, and now I'm not gonna get to see him. He's gonna move away. His kids are great. His wife's great. And Danny, I was living in Avon at the time, and Danny was living in Avon. He said something to me after a SportsCenter hit. It was after the kick six, I want to say. And he was like, hey, you know, what are your kids again? And, you know, I was like, oh, you know, name the ages. And he goes, you guys should come over. And I was like, yeah, man, totally. And I thought, Danny Cannell didn't want to hang out with me or my kids. Like, he's just being nice. But he was new. He was John Mulaney style. Like, he was new in town. And I had only been there recently. And I missed out on an opportunity to maybe be friends with Danny Cannell because I just thought, like, he doesn't mean this. And so for you guys now, how many years later, to be like, Danny's on the list.
Oh, yeah.
To people, like it's like an affirmation of that. You know,
There are people that don't
that.
mean that. He meant that.
He meant that,
there are
yeah.
people that do that, but no, he would have 100% been cool with it. And
not helping the regret.
And yeah, I can't say enough obviously great things about Danny. And we were remiss if we didn't mention Adnan as well in this group of people. Come on,
totally.
like yeah.
For
So,
sure.
because I know probably listen and text me and get mad, be like, how the hell did I not come up in this conversation?
Adnan's
there you
great.
go, Adnan.
Adnan's right.
88-minute mark, and I'm just coming up.
yeah.
And it'll tell you
Okay.
something about yourself. It'll be like, Ceruti, big Everton guy.
yeah. Exactly.
You guys, this might have been the most stressful draft we've ever done. Well, Randy, it's your first, but this one really stressed me out. I was so nervous to make my picks, but Randy, this is why we brought you on to do this, because we knew you would bring a scouting report. We knew you would bring an A+ game plan, and you delivered. So we're going to post this online, and we're going to have the people vote on whose house they would most likely want to hang out in. And I think I might finally win. I think I might finally win this one.
I'm jealous of your squads, but I love mine too. So I don't know. We'll see.
I got everyone I wanted. 1, 2, 3.
All right, well, we'll find out. Well, Randy, you're the best. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll talk to you again soon.
Yes. Love you guys. Miss you both.
You too.
All right. Take care.
Steve, that was a fun but stressful draft. I am stressed out.
As I said, I got all the 3 people that I wanted that were 1, 2, 3 on my list, but Randy, I didn't think was going to take any of the people I wanted. I was worried about you because you and I are kind of on the same wavelength, and I like yours, but I still think you're finishing second here.
I don't know. Your house is pretty soccer heavy.
I got one soccer guy. I got a soccer guy. I got a girl who's going to bring all the food and the positive vibes, and I got Woody, who's like the coolest person there is. So I feel great about that. I got one soccer guy. Come on.
I know. I'm just trying to think of a negative, but there is no negative.
You have
a great house.
Your negative campaign. Here we go.
I love every person in your house. You have a great house. I'm jealous of your house, but I love my house too.
No, I like yours too. I just think mine's a little bit better. Anyway.
We'll see. All right, well, let's get to a review, Steve. How about this one? Must read, 5 stars. Just listen to the pod. Next draft should be fast food restaurants. This pod is perfect, entertaining, and unpredictable.
Thank you. We've actually talked about doing that. My wife, Maddie, have we talked about this on the pod yet? I don't think we have. My wife has never had a fast food burger from McDonald's, Wendy's, or Burger King. So we had this idea to potentially do a blind taste test and have her rank which one, because I know which ones I like. I'm sure you know which ones you like the best and what order you put them in. But I want to have her do maybe a blind taste test, and then we do a fast food draft after that. So that's something we have on the docket in the future.
Logistically, that's hard though. How are you going to get all the burgers to her at once? Because fast food does not sit well. So you got to make sure that they're all there at the same time and appropriately heated if she's going to do that.
We got to do like a DoorDash thing where we all have them delivered at the same time and then immediately hop on Zoom and record our show. Which you're right, the logistics could be bad, but we'll figure it out because I think we need to do. I want to do it just because I'm interested, but I think all other people would like it too.
I agree. We're going to have to figure out a way to get that done. Well, thank you to everyone for listening. Thank you, of course, to Randy Scott for taking basically his nap time to jump on with us and BS about which one of his coworkers he would want to spend time with in an Airbnb. But Randy Scott is the absolute best. Be sure to follow him on Twitter at Randy Scott ESPN. Steve and I will be back in action next week. But until then, I'm pretty confident I won this draft.
Pretty sure you said that about the Brady draft too.
Thanks for listening to Small Talk. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts or the Podcast One app.